Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to take a moment to look at what's coming up next in Russia at the future patches, including the one this month in February. I also want to take a look at their roadmap for end of winter, beginning of spring, as they've named it. I want to show that to you, obviously, of course. I want to discuss this with you, and I also want to discuss something that I have noticed lately, people talking about, people being disappointed in. I want to share my opinion on this as a very experienced player in Lost Ark and also with other MMORPGs. The lack of endgame content. Lost Ark is boring. Lost Ark needs faster patches. Mail.ru is not giving us things fast enough. So I want to talk about all of these things in one video because they kind of relate to each other. First, let me just quickly take you through the things that are coming up this month in February with the patch. First of all, there's going to be a new continent, Rohendel, an absolutely amazingly beautiful looking continent, I might add, with beautiful looking maps and beautiful looking mobs, and most importantly, you are going to shit your pants when you're gonna get far enough into the story to get to the last dungeon when you need to defeat the evil queen. I'm just gonna say that. I don't want to spoil it for you. I do have a video on my channel for those of you who are not playing Lost Ark anymore maybe, or have never played it and you want to see a truly epic looking and sounding campaign or story dungeon. I'm gonna link you that video in the description below because it's the Rohendel one. The second thing that's coming is the release of the Western Sea. Obviously Rohendel is on that side of the sea. By the way, for Rohendel you need 380 as a minimum item level to get there. Most people are already 500, so that's not gonna be an issue. The release of the Western Sea comes also with the addition of the tier 4 ghost ship fight and the tier 4 ghost ship spawn, actually. The only one that counts basically, because it's the only one that has a small chance of dropping you the design for the ghost ship itself. An absolutely beautiful looking ship, badass looking ship, huge on the screen. You're always gonna notice a guy riding the ghost ship. It's black, it looks like the Black Pearl. It's absolutely amazing, and it's the best ship for those of you who enjoy doing shipwrecks on the sea as an activity, right? Super nice because it has a sailor that has shipwreck level 4 on top of additional one, or I think it was 2 other super nice goodies for that sailor. You can get them with drifting souls from Frank on the Starlight Island, right on top of the Starlight house. Anyway, super nice thing also. The third thing that's coming with the February patch is the addition of 11 new islands. Obviously, the western side of the sea has about 35 or 40 new islands, and we're just getting 11. This is the part where I'm pretty disappointed in how Mail.ru is releasing this particular patch. And here is the part where I want to start talking about content, endgame releases, and all of these other things that people are disappointed in. Lost Ark already started in Russia as an incomplete game. We already did not have some of the islands that Koreans had on the Eastern Sea. On top of that, they have completely shit on the sea and water content rewards that were available and are still available in Korea. Korea has a much more engaging and rewarding sea and water activity. In Russia, you barely see anyone on the sea. People were just rushing to get their island hearts. They got 20, they got bored, they stopped, or whatever. The rewards for the island hearts and the way the sea and water content has been released so far and is continuing to be released with this February's patch is very disappointing, to be honest. This goes hand in hand with "I'm bored of endgame" kinda statements that I see around. And let me explain to you how. Lost Ark, the way it's made, is a game in which you get a patch with new gear and with new item level. You get through that patch as fast as you possibly can because that's what people do. I'm not saying you should do it or that I'm doing it. I'm just saying this is the norm of people. New patch, tier 2 raiding or tier 2 gear, boom, 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 let's have it. New patch, tier 2.5, boom, 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 I'm 550. A new patch, tier 3, and so on. Now, Lost Ark is made as a game to be enjoyed also in other activities in the game. If you're not a PvP player, then obviously you're not going to do PvP, but you are going to do PvE content. PvE content does not end with raiding. I see very many people that think, okay, so I'm item level 530, I've reached endgame, and now the only thing I should be doing is weekly raids. Now that statement is correct, because that is the only thing that is available in terms of organized instanced content for you at endgame. It's only the weekly raids. Every MMORPG in the world, though, from Guild Wars 2 to Aeon to Terra to World of Warcraft to Wildstar, has the same kind of thing, only it feels different in them. When I played Aeon, there was always the one thing, the one dungeon, or the one 10-man or 12-man, as it was in Aeon, thing to do. And that was all the end game. Period. There was no other equally better thing to do at end game in Aeon for as long as I can remember. The same was in Terra. There was that 30-man thing, and that's about it. You needed to do that on a weekly basis, 4 or 5 times a week. The same was in Wildstar. There was that 20-man datascape raid with 7 bosses, and it had a weekly cooldown, and that was about it. I want you to keep in mind the one thing. The difference in between Lost Ark and every other MMORPG is that Lost Ark feels more grindy and more forced and more boring for the majority of people compared to everything else. Why? Because of the daily cooldowns. I get in contact with so many people, and I have real life friends who play Lost Ark, and we talk a lot about the game. And every time when we talk about endgame in Lost Ark, they say kind of the same things as you guys are saying, or that I see people saying all around the forums, the Russian forums, the English forums, everywhere. There is nothing in Lost Ark at endgame. I'm bored. Only weekly raids, QQ, I wanna quit, I don't like this game. The difference in between Lost Ark and other games is the fact that other games have it all on weekly cooldowns. Everything is on a weekly. Guild Wars 2 is on a weekly. Wildstar was on a weekly. Aeon is on a weekly. WoW is on a weekly. Terra is on a weekly. Everything does not force you to do that every day. In other MMORPGs, your days as a player look completely different. Today in Guild Wars you finish Wing 1 of raiding and you're done for the week. Tomorrow you go and do Wing 2. The other day you go to Aeon and do 3 runs of Makarna, you're done with that content, and that's the only endgame content in terms of PvE that you could possibly do in all of these MMORPGs. There's only one thing that's purely endgame, the same as in Lost Ark. The difference is that Lost Ark's endgame content is daily. Your days look exactly the same. You log in, you finish your dailies, you get your pouches, you do your Event Chaos dungeon, and you do your weekly raids. Tomorrow, you repeat the exact same thing. Dailies, Event Chaos Dungeon, weekly raids. Dailies, Event Chaos Dungeon, weekly raids. And every day of the week for you in Lost Ark feels exactly the same, because you're doing exactly the same things. And this is where Lost Ark again goes in the gray category as a game. Not everyone's gonna like it. This is why I keep saying all the time on my streams and in my videos, Lost Ark is not gonna be that one miraculously popular game. It's never gonna happen. Lost Ark is gonna be an unpopular game, a niche game for a specific kind of eyes and brain that can handle this daily cooldowns until they decide to remove daily cooldowns and make them into a weekly. If the weekly raids in Lost Ark would actually be weekly, which I know is pretty kappa, but anyways, just translation, then your days could look different. You could do today, on Monday, 7 runs of weekly raid. All 7. You're done with them. Tomorrow on Tuesday, you can enjoy sea and water content, only hunting the ghost ship. The other day on Wednesday, you can do, I don't know, 7 runs of the Event Chaos Dungeon, right? And have that as that day. But until you get back to the weekly raid reset, you've already forgotten about it. You're already getting excited about it. You already want to do it again. And that's the problem with Lost Ark. and that is what I wanted to explain to you. And also that is why I'm disappointed in how they're releasing these sea and water content things, because sea and water content is the only thing besides weekly raid that is to do at endgame. PvP cannot be considered as an endgame activity. You can do it starting with item level 250, so it doesn't really matter. And everything else, chaos dungeons, you've already done them, you're bored of them, you don't want to do them anymore. There's no need for you to do them, you don't get anything from there, so they're pointless. Regular dungeons, pointless, and that's about it. Making alts, that's really not an option. You cannot force people into make alts just because the game is not good enough at endgame for them to keep them busy. Now, I'm not gonna even mention that. So I'm just saying that the way they're releasing this content with just a smidgen of islands for you to do, these 11 islands is gonna take people 1 week to finish all of them. That's it, 7 days. After the 7 days, by the middle of March, everyone's gonna be done again with sea and water content. So what are they gonna do then? Be forced into farming the ghost ship because of the ghost ship drop is really low? That's not really an option. Pretty disappointed in this, because if they would have released 40 island hearts with this particular patch, if they would have done a better job, I don't know what they're waiting for, translation, or they're just purposely not releasing content so that there can be content later. I just don't know what they're doing or why, but I'm just saying if they would have released 40 island hearts, then that would have been at least a 2-month period in which people, after they finish their weekly raid for that day, they can just go enjoy a lot of sea and water content and a lot of island content, which has a beautiful story and beautiful rewards and beautiful NPCs to discover, etc. Like this is not gonna happen, and yeah, it is how it is. Again, Lost Ark is gonna continue staying in the goddamn gray area of MMORPGs and games in general, just because everything in Lost Ark has to be so controversial. I just don't understand why they keep doing these controversial things. It's just weird. Lastly, I want to take a quick look over the updates that are coming up next after this February update. They have titled this picture as Winter Spring 2020, right? So beginning of winter, like January, February months, and then March and April, I'm assuming. I think that in March we're gonna get the Lance Master class. I don't think, actually everyone seems to know for sure since open beta that this is the case, so they didn't tell us anything new. So Lance Master coming up in March. I want to mention, just for you to know, that in Korea Lance Master came exactly 5 months after, or maybe it was 6 months, in between 5 and 6 months after the release of the game. If Lance Master comes to Russia in March, then that is already 1 month sooner than it came in Korea. Just for you to not blame all the time mail.ru for being slow with patches or anything like that. They're not slow with patches. They just bring out weird patches at weird times. That's their problem. So Lance Master coming out in March, most likely. That's 1 month sooner than Korea. Also at the same time with Lance Master, in the same patch, there's going to be the second awakening skills that people are excited for, because obviously it's one more skill for your class, an awakening skill at that. Some classes get a big buff, a big boost with their new awakening skills. And after this March update, probably in April, we're gonna have another one with tier 3 equipment, which is the next stage after that, and Yorn as a new land to explore. Yorn requires a minimum item level of 545, I think it was. I cannot remember from Korea that well. 540 something, and you get there to Yorn and you continue your adventures in Yorn, and with a lot of other things that are changing with Lost Ark. I really want to mention, before I let you guys be, I really want to mention one thing, just in case you are also worried a little bit about Lost Ark or what's going to happen in the future and stuff. I know what's going to happen in the future, because I am currently playing the future in Korea. So everything that's gonna happen in the next year and a half in Lost Ark is already known. The future for Lost Ark is only getting better. With tier 3 equipment, we're getting rid of the acrasium farm and we're getting rid of the acrasium holding us back for our progression. So there's gonna be a lot more things to do in game, not only that one best raid boss for you every day. There's gonna be other things that you will want to do and that are pleasant and fun to do because they help you gear up. Right now, very many people feel the game is boring, bland, repetitive, and I can definitely agree with that statement, simply because every single day of the week for players looks exactly the same. And I'm not talking about you that's leveling up, because your days don't look the same. I'm talking about the very many players that are at endgame right now, and they're only doing that one thing that's available at endgame. And that was everything from me today, guys. I'm always very interested in seeing what you have to think about the topics that I talk in the comments below. I always read your comments, and very keen and interested in seeing how you guys see things in general. Until my next video, I wish you guys lots of love. I'm gonna see you really soon. Stay safe and take it easy.